We've now reached the login page for Career Cruising. The top of your page, you'll notice that there is a contact number for Career Cruising. You'll also notice the login windows. There is a link there to Forgot Password over on the top right hand side. If you've forgotten your password, simply click on the link, enter your email address, and Career Cruising will provide you with your password as long as they have your email on file. You'll notice just below there's information related to CC Engage, which is our new suite of products. Also support information, training information, and a blog that you may find interesting. So let's enter the site username and the site password and click Login. We're now on the main page of Career Cruising. You'll notice in the top right hand corner the search window. Just to the left of that you can see My Account, and this is where users would sign out. There's also a Help button as well as the Language button. Over on the left hand side you'll notice a Login window with a drop down, and this is where users are going to log into their account by entering their username and their password and clicking on Login. It will take them to their My Plan section. You'll notice the name of the individuals whose My Plan we're currently logged into is indicated there, and by clicking on the drop down you can see the various sections of their My Plan. They can easily access those sections from this location. Today we're going to be looking at assessments, so you'll notice the Assessment tab, and by clicking on the Assessments tab it takes us to the Explore Assessments page. There are 3 assessments: Matchmaker, My Skills, and Learning Styles Inventory that we have access to. The first one we're going to take a look at is the Matchmaker assessment. By clicking on that link, you will notice that this takes us to a section of the My Plan for this individual. We're actually in their My Assessments section where they've saved their results of previous Matchmaker assessments that they've taken. So you'll notice that those are listed there. We're going to start a new Matchmaker session by clicking on the blue bar over on the right hand side, Start New Matchmaker. This brings us to the introduction for Matchmaker. Now Matchmaker is an assessment that allows the individuals to match their interests to careers. In the introduction it tells us there are 39 questions from which they have 5 responses to choose, ranging from dislike very much all the way through to like very much. It is important not to answer does not matter or dislike very much very often, because it will tend to skew your results, or you may find that you get a shortened list. Before we begin, you'll also notice that we need to label our results. So by giving these results a name so that we're able to find them later. And click Start Now. Takes us to the level of education question. The user here has to determine what level of education they plan to consider beyond high school. And they may choose all 3 or any combination of these. We've selected all 3. Each question begins with how would you like a career, which includes, followed by a statement. You'll notice that we're currently on question number 1. By answering this question, like very much, you're automatically advanced to question 2. Question 2 of 39 in the top right hand corner, and over on the left side you'll notice the progress bar, which is a visual cue as to where the user is in completing the assessment. In question number 2, we're asked, how would you like a career which includes working outdoors in any weather? That's not something I would enjoy in the cold winter months, so I'm going to choose dislike very much. And this moves us on to question number 3. This one may be a little more difficult to answer. How would you like a career which includes being interested in using history? And you will notice over on the right hand side that there is a more information box there where additional information is provided to assist with the answer to the question. So once that information has been read, perhaps it's easier for the user to answer the question. In the interest of time, we're not going to continue with all of the questions in the Matchmaker assessment. We're going to go back to this individual's My Plan and select Completed Assessment. So from the My Assessment section and Matchmaker and My Skills, we're going to select from a saved assessment results. I'm going to select grade 10, and here you can see in the center of the page the various results. There are 40 career matches here. To review any of them, simply click on the occupation title and it takes the patron to the occupation profile. You'll notice the Suitable for You page, pulling out the central aspects, secondary aspects, other aspects of this particular career, and on the right-hand side you can see the responses that the user gave to those particular questions. So it's not surprising that this one ranked very high on the list, as they had answered very much to several of those questions. If there's no response, it simply means they weren't asked that question. To return to the Matchmaker results, click in the top right hand corner, and you'll notice over on the left hand side we do have the cluster recommendations. So we're able to pull the medical and health cluster from the list and view all of the careers related to that particular cluster that appeared on the list. Likewise, we can do the same with education and social services. The level of education question is one that we're able to change if we wish. So if at this point the user is interested in seeing only those careers on the list that they could access with the University of Education, they may remove those check marks and click on Update My Results. Scrolling further along, the next section is Improve My Results. Here they're able to answer additional questions. They've already answered 39 of 116, but it's always a good idea to answer all of the questions. So by clicking on Answer More Questions, you'll notice that we have the same profile as we saw before. How would you like a career which includes? In this case, the first question is using a second language, and by clicking on the response, it simply moves us on to the next question. The only difference between this set of questions and the earlier set is that this time they don't have to answer all of the questions. You'll notice that this particular user has 60 questions. That does vary from user to user depending upon how they answered the first 39. And they can stop at any time and view their career suggestions. So again, they don't have to complete all of those suggestions. So let's take a look using this particular individual's saved results to see what that looks like once they've answered those additional questions. So you'll notice now on the left hand side that the individual has answered 54 of a possible 116 questions. You'll also notice that they have the option to review their answers and make changes to those if they like by clicking on the drop down. And if they do make changes, they need to scroll to the bottom of the page and click on the Save and Update My Career Suggestions to ensure that any changes that they've made are reflected in their results. Once again, over on the left-hand side, the next section is the My Skills Assessment. This is where they're able to access the My Skills Assessment. It tells us there are 45 key skill areas that they're going to be rated on, and by clicking on Start My Skills, we can see that there are 5 responses from which to select, ranging from I am highly skilled all the way through to I don't have the skill or I can't answer this. By clicking on Start Now, we're able to see the first question. Rate your skill level at using your hands in a skillful way. There is additional information provided there. And they would simply respond to this question and move on. So once the skills assessment has been completed, we'll go back to My Assessments, and it has been saved in the Matchmaker and My Skills section. They're able to identify it by the one with the green check mark. So this particular individual actually labeled it My Skills, but they could have called it whatever they would like. But by clicking on that label, we're able to see the results of the skills assessment. You'll notice over on the right hand side there is a skill score, and if you looked to the left side, you'll also notice that there is a legend. So a letter A on a dark green background means a very good match, and a letter E on a red background means a poor match. And basically what this is saying is we're evaluating the skills that you currently have as it relates to each of these particular occupations. So having a D or an E as a rating should not discourage anyone. It simply means that at this particular time they don't have all of those skills, but of course they could acquire them through education and training. So if we look at number 31, which is production woodworker, you'll notice a D, but it's also important to point out to that individual that if they are interested in a career in this field, through their education and training they're going to acquire those skills. So let's go back to our assessment tab on the navigation bar at the top of the page, and by clicking that it's going to take us back to our Explore Assessments page. Another assessment is our Learning Styles Inventory. The Learning Styles Inventory can help individuals discover how they learn and retain information, as well as find tips on how they can improve their study habits to suit their learning styles. So let's get started. By clicking on Start Learning Styles, you'll notice that there are 20 questions, of which there are 3 possible options for answers, and at the end of the assessment we're going to be able to determine whether the individual is a visual, auditory, or tactile learner. So let's get started. I'm going to quickly run through the responses to these questions. It'll only take us a moment here, and then we can see what the results look like. And we're almost finished. So once we've completed the 20 questions, you can see that this particular individual is a tactile learner. You will notice that the information is presented in chart and graph format, and as we scroll down you can also see details related to this particular learning style with some suggestions of and helpful hints of things that they might want to do to assist themselves with this learning style. So we've now covered the 3 assessments that are part of Career Cruising, the Matchmaker and My Skills, as well as the Learning Styles Inventory. I do hope that you have found the information to be helpful, and of course remember that you can always contact us by clicking on the Help at the top of the page.